Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard,
I'm Steven.
and today we're making a verbal contract that in the event of our untimely demise, we wish to be stuffed. Pump me full of cotton, put a beer in my hand, and use me like a coat rack. Today we're talking about taxidermy.
Oh, shit. I'm excited to talk about dead shit.
Yep, man. It's kind of what we were born to do.
Yeah. How was your week?
Week's been good. It's been very uneventful again, which is not a bad thing in my book.
Yeah.
I've been slowly getting my my studio here put together in a way that I like and the way that I've been envisioning it. It still needs a little bit of touch-up work, but I'm done sticking money in it for now.
Dude, it turned out so great.
Thank you.
Professional level studio. The astro lights and shit, the space vibe, so fucking dope.
Very cool. And now I got to figure out a way to utilize it in a way that makes sense to have invested this much time in it. I guess if it's just for me, it's still fine.
Yeah, it's your sacred space.
Or at least I need a PC that matches it. It's not just this old fucking laptop that whines way too loud.
You're getting there though. It's dope.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Okay. Busy. Have not been able to publish any art, but I got some cool stuff in the works. Something that's taking me way too fucking long for something so simple, but I like it. Aside from that, it's just been kind of chill. Better than last week, so I can't complain.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah. Honorable mentions?
I got nothing.
All right, I got a couple, and I was excited to show you these. So this first one, I was talking to an artist we featured previously, Plastic Cats.
Yeah.
I was talking to Plastic Cats on Instagram. They had left a comment on one of my pieces, and they said something to the effect of, like, you do the best clouds out of anyone. Like, I love your cloud work. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, man. Like, that's such a cool compliment. I work with cloud stuff a lot. It's a very sweet compliment. And then I was thinking of, like, other artists I like or I think do it better. And this particular artist came to mind. And I'm probably not going to say the name right because they are an Instagram digital artist. The name of this artist is Die Seven Eyed on Instagram. The @ is DI7IDE, and this artist does digital design, collage, graphic design kind of stuff similar to some of the stuff I do, but their focus is solely on clouds, moons, and skies.
Now, I'm going to take a different take on that because I think it's supposed to be read divide.
I don't know.
It's like leet speak with the 7 as a
I
as
couldn't.
a V.
I thought maybe Die Seven Eyed if it was like a reference to a chemical compound.
Maybe.
I could see it going either way, right?
Yeah.
So you went with divide.
Yeah, that's just the way that I saw it and read it.
It's a stretch, but it might be right.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the 7 like it's a fuck am I trying to say? Like a triangle with a drop shadow on it. That's the way I see it. Upside down triangle with a little drop shadow. That's the 7.
So this artist is very ethereal, very glowy. It's like little snapshots of like alien skies. And there's honestly, there's a ton of artists, including myself, that does similar stuff or incorporates aspects of this, but this person, like, really, I think, specializes in it in a unique way. Like, they feel so simple, but they capture so much at the same time, and they just feel really satisfying and calming to look at.
Yeah, the color usage is just wild. It goes from very, like, serene and calming to, like, some of their pieces are more like you can feel like it's almost overwhelmingly like
saturated.
Well, I was gonna say like the emotion I get from it is like it's very I don't know, like what's the word when like, you feel like something bad's gonna happen.
Ominous.
Ominous, yes. Ominous is the right word.
That's interesting. I can see that.
I get that from some of the pieces, and it's like it's not in a bad way at all. Like it's a very beautiful way to get it. One of the pieces that you shared with me is called Drift Apart.
I like that one.
It reminds me a lot of an old Black Sabbath cover, which
colors.
Yeah, this is the strong colors, and it also reminds me of the intro to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like the OG one has like some color vibes like that in the title.
Yeah.
Intro.
Like kind of retro psychedelic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the trash wave music in a bit, where like instead of the controlled redlining, what is it called in audio? We've said it so many times. The crunching of audio.
Oh yeah.
Instead of that with music, this artist kind of like over punches or saturate colors, so it goes from these like smooth fields of like subtle color to like blown out color at times, and I think in a controlled, purposeful way that I find very interesting.
Yeah, it makes it look extremely, like, I feel like that can be done and it would look sometimes amateurish.
Yes.
But these look really fantastic.
Yeah,
You said purposeful is the main takeaway there.
Yeah, like time is put into these. I really can think of like at least 20 other artists I've seen that solely do this kind of work, and it's really bad or just like not good enough to be like meaningful. I feel like most of these are pretty enough that they feel meaningful.
Yeah. I also like their use of the moon.
Yeah.
In so many of the pieces. Or like when they have like the moon imposed like multiple times.
Yeah. Honestly, I used to do more like this, and for me personally, I just didn't quite want to get pigeonholed, because there is a repetitive nature where each piece is done differently, but it's normally a couple clouds and a moon, and that's great for this person's specialty, but it is tricky to like try to constantly come up with something new with the same subject matter.
Yeah,
but this person's doing it, so cool shit. A Dreamlike State, Die Seven-Eyed or Divide on Instagram. We'll have links and photos. Second artist. All right, this is the person when we featured Lauren Max, her work, like an episode or two ago. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find this artist and I couldn't find them. So I finally found this artist again. This is someone I've talked to on the internet over the years a little bit. This artist's name is 30 Seconds of Starless. It's at the numbers 30 seconds of Starless, all one word, on Instagram. What do you think of the two?
The two you sent me?
Yeah, and they both can click over. One's a still photos of paintings, and then the second is a video.
I love the color usage. It reminds me of the still images reminds me of like anime cover, like manga covers.
Definitely inspired by.
The other
like
one with
native
the video and like the some of the sculpture-ish kind of stuff on his page it's really beautiful, really cool shit that like it's almost like, especially the one that you sent me, the Rust Spirit, reminds me of like post-apocalyptic kind of a vibe where it's like both very natural and still somewhat unnatural of it's like a man-made feeling, but it's got like I don't even know what that is. It looks like a grass or like something around the collar. It's very cool though.
Yeah, I feel like the aesthetic is almost like a modern Native American anime style for the character paintings, and they're like different creatures or beings with different types of masks, and everything's like formatted in a graphic design illustrative style but hand painted. And then this artist also specializes in like hand molding and painting these sculptures of the characters, making these like modeled scenes and then costume work with it. And like some of the costume work is like fully crafted like suits of armor with masks, and like the leather jackets might have like spikes and things, and then it still has that like anime post-apocalyptic level. Like they'll have like the D&D stats written on the jackets and stuff, like different like weird nods to things that are like just really cool.
You know what's funny is like until you said Native American, I started scrolling through the page and I was like, oh, that's that aesthetic that I couldn't put my finger on.
I feel that,
but it's very much, now that you said it, it's like, oh, duh, that's so prominent.
Because it's his own spin, like it's his own original take on all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like now that you mention it, it's like absolutely it's there. It's very obvious that that's taken, from, other things that I've seen, but it's just, like you said, in so much of his own style, and he's taken, his run with it, that it's really beautiful.
Yeah, all this different play on like symbology, different symbols, and just really cool stuff. Just really cool aesthetic. He's one of those artists where like, even if you didn't like his work, it is all very clearly his, very strong, dialed in aesthetic where like, regardless of what medium he was playing with, you would likely be able to tell it was his, which is something I just appreciate very much. I love seeing what he's going to do next, so it's a pleasure to share the art of 30 Seconds of Starless. We'll have links and photos on the pages.
It looks like he makes pins. I don't know if he sells them.
I don't know if there's anything he doesn't make, honestly. I've seen so many different
he's got a lot of wild shit. The costume design stuff, that takes so much. It's a totally different mindset than...
It's pretty next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild shit.
I thought he kind of has that like spilled bleach vibe, like old leather, rusted tin, spilled bleach, living in a post-apocalyptic anime with Indian vibes.
yeah, it's very niche. There's a whole lot of shit going on there. I dig it.
That's so cool. So pleasure to share. And I think that's it. Taxidermy, yeah?
Taxidermy. So taxidermy is the art of preserving an animal's body for the purpose of display or study. Animals are often, but not always, portrayed in a lifelike state. The word taxidermy describes the process of preserving the animal, but the word is also used to describe the end product, which are called taxidermy mounts or simply referred to as taxidermy. The word taxidermy is derived from the Greek word taxis and derma. Taxis means arrangement and derma means skin, so the word taxidermy translates to arrangement of skin.
Fuck yeah, we're moving around some skin today.
Yeah.
Taxiderm my corpse. Taxidermy is practiced primarily on vertebrates, but can also be done to larger insects and arachnids. Taxidermy takes on a number of forms and purposes, including hunting trophies and natural history museum displays. Museums use taxidermy as a method to record species, including those that are extinct and threatened, in the form of study skins and life-size mounts. Taxidermy is sometimes also often used as a means to memorialize pets. It is a different craft, but I've always particularly liked the insect and butterfly displays.
Yeah, those are really cool.
It's like when they put all the pins in the wings or around the beetles and stuff, it creates this like weird second exoskeleton.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
That was a part of the Cincinnati Zoo that I never appreciated until I got older. And the most recent time I went there, I went to the insect house, and you go through and they have all of these different displays of all of these wild ass bugs. And you're like, it's just, some of them are so like devilish looking or so like colorful and bright and beautiful. And you're like, what? Like, where the fuck do these come from?
Yeah.
Like, how did evolution create these wild ass things? I mean, I guess some of it you see, like, you know, it's for like, what's it called? Camouflage or whatever. But then I know there's certain insects that are like, they look that way because other animals that see like certain UV light or whatever, they can't see a certain spectrum of light. They wouldn't see them on a flower, and they wouldn't like be taken as prey, and like just the wild shit that they go through to get to that point.
Yeah.
And it's for survival. It's not even like to look beautiful. It's just survival.
Yeah. That recently new doc on Netflix about the color spectrums of animals was very intriguing. But it is also weird, like, I don't know, it's so cool to see all the bugs laid out that way, but it is pretty weird to have, like, trophies of all the beautiful things you have killed.
Yeah,
right?
That is weird, yeah.
Even zoos in general, you're just visiting the animal prisons. Like, we're not supposed to see tigers in Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly. Let them free. Right. Open the cages. A person who practices taxidermy is called a taxidermist. They may practice professionally, catering to museums, hunters, and fishermen, or as amateur hobbyists. A taxidermist is aided by familiarity with anatomy, sculpture, painting, and tanning.
It's a lot of different types of art all mixed together.
Yeah, there's a lot of biology you have to know, and like the anatomy and understanding the craft of taking them apart and then putting them back together in an artistic way.
Yeah, and if you're lacking in any of those disciplines, the final product is not going to come together
right
perfectly. It's kind of like a mix between like the art of sculpture and body modification, but you're practicing it on a dead animal to preserve it in a specifically desired aesthetic state.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Preserving animal skins has been practiced for a long time. Embalmed animals have been found with Egyptian mummies. Although embalming incorporates the use of lifelike poses, it's not considered taxidermy.
God, it's so fucking cool how they would mummify their cats. It like in hopes to go to the afterlife together. It's so fucking awesome. I hope we get to go to the afterlife with all of our dead cats too. That
would be ideal.
That makes it sound way cooler. And then a quick sidebar on mummification, because this is like my favorite shit ever as a kid, is the brain removal.
Oh, yeah.
That was like the one exciting moment in class when
you're like they do fucking what?
Right.
Tell me more.
So the brain was removed through the nostrils with a hook and thrown away because it is not believed to be important, which is so funny.
Yeah, I fucking love that. They're like, this is useless. This is stupid.
Fuck your brain. Yeah.
What the fuck is all this trash up here for? It's got nothing to do with this body.
Right.
So this process called excerebration, I think I'm saying that right. Excerebration is the ancient mummification procedure of removal of the brain from corpses prior to the actual embalming.
Yeah, and some people, I think it is commonly thought to be like an iron stick with a hook, but I've often heard it's something organic also. So an object more than 6 to 8 inches long, likely made from plants such as palm, and bamboo, would have been used for liquefying and removing the brain. You stick it in, stir it up like a Capri Sun. The instrument would be inserted through a hole punched through the ethmoid bone near the nose via a chisel. Some parts of the brain would be wrapped around this hook, stuck, and pulled out. The other parts would be liquefied. In order to drain the remaining liquefied brain and cerebral fluid, the individual would be put on their abdomen or their head would be lifted. Let it all leak out.
I gotta tell you, that's one of the few things that, like, when I hear it, when I even, like, reading this and putting this together made me, like feel like I was going to pass out. I don't like that one is one. The first time I ever experienced it was when we had somebody come in. It was like a professional doctor or some shit came to our school and was telling us about how they clear out arteries. Yeah. And they were talking about how they stick a fucking, like a brush through your arteries and shit. And it's like, oh, I can't, like, just imagining the bristles on the inside of my veins. And it's like, oh, I hate that. I hate that so much.
See, I think I would love it. I did see a photo today at work that honestly, it made me do a double take. Like, I about, like, wanted to cry. It was a bad one of some gangrene from frostbite. Ooh. I was like, oh, ooh. Fuck. Like, how are you still alive?
You get pictures with the...
Sometimes. I get to see some wild fucking shit throughout the day, though.
Oh, Jesus.
It's pretty cool, honestly.
I bet it is.
One of my favorite, I used to, like, write, I had this journal of, like, torture methods that I would, like, write to get through school, right? One of the ones I always thought would be so fucking wild to try out would be injecting someone with ground glass.
Oh.
Like a fine, dusty powder.
Oh.
Would that tear them up from the inside, right?
That sounds just the most terrible.
Dude, I got some creative ones. One of these days, we'll do a whole podcast on it.
That sounds bad. I still think scaphicism is my least favorite.
What was it?
Scaphicism.
Remind me.
That's the one where they would... there's various different accounts of the details involved with it. But the idea was basically they would force feed you milk and honey.
Oh, yeah.
And then put you in a boat that had it was like a canoe that also had a top to it. And you would be cut like a bunch of little slits all over you. And that they would also rub with like honey. And then they would like kind of I think they would put you like in a bog or something where insects would come and feed on you and would eventually like slowly eat you from the inside out. And they would continue to force feed you so you didn't die of starvation. You would you would shit on and piss all over yourself, and that would bring more bugs, and it would be like a terrible infectious death.
Hey, at least you get to die among friends that way.
They're like, right? Sometimes it could take like weeks.
Can I tell one of my more creative ones?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Honestly, this is one I'm honestly pretty proud of. So the goal with this
fucking sick fuck
is to break the person psychologically. I don't care if they die, right? You just want to break their mind. And there's no worse way than having to face yourself in a mirror forever, right? So, the idea, it would be a purgatory. Imagine a giant track, like a field and track, like a quarter mile, 400 meter, right? Imagine that underground in a tunnel. So, like, it's a big enough loop that you can't see the end, right?
Okay.
Now imagine if you made that way bigger and the whole thing was coated with mirrors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you have it so like every 100 meters is like a mirrored door. And the curve is so wide that you can't quite see around it. So it feels like you're walking through a straight tunnel of mirrors forever. And you just fill it with broken, like, it's just a mirror tunnel that you're walking through forever, covered in broken mirror glass. And you have to look at yourself wandering through mirrors forever.
That sounds really shitty.
And you could, like, clean up the blood on the next section behind them as they go forward. And no
So
matter
they don't realize that they've been there.
Yeah, and they're just stuck in a tunnel of mirrors looking at themselves forever.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
I'm proud of that one.
Yeah. Like their only way out is, I mean, at least there's broken glass there. They can take their own life.
Exactly. They have the choice at any time.
You gave them a choice. You're so kind.
There's always a way out.
So back to mummification. after they've dumped all of the broken brain juices out of the head, the internal organs were then removed through a cut in the left side of the body. The lungs, liver, stomach, and intestines were mummified separately and placed in special containers called canopic jars.
Those jars are so cool.
Yeah.
That's some Jesus shit on the left side of the body, right? That's where he took the spear.
I don't think it had to do with Jesus because the ancient Egyptians were further back in time than Jesus, but
Jesus copied them, though.
Jesus. He copied them when he got cut on the side, when he got stabbed.
What if they found Jesus's organs in a jar like that all these years later?
Oh, if Jesus was mummified?
That would be cool, too.
If Jesus was Egyptian, rewrite the history books.
You know the shroud? I forget the name of the shroud. It's the one that the woman let him wipe his face during the crucifixion.
Oh, yeah.
They found that, and then for like 50...
Did they, though? Did they find that one?
For 50 years, it was believed to be real, and then it was proven it wasn't. Recently-ish. But in the Middle Ages, crude examples of taxidermy were displayed by astrologers and apothecaries. Their earliest method of preservation of birds for natural history cabinets were published around 1748. There were several pioneers of taxidermy in France, Germany, Denmark, and England around this time. For a while, clay was used to shape some of the soft parts, but this also made the specimens especially heavy.
In France, Louis Dufresne, taxidermist at the National Natural History Museum in 1793, popularized arsenical soap. This technique enabled the museum to build the greatest collection of birds in the world. They were using, I think he was actually the first one to actually start using arsenic.
Because before that, weren't they using mercury sometimes?
Oh, I don't remember that part. I don't remember. I think they might have moved on from that one already.
Previously.
Yeah.
It's crazy how late people use mercury, though.
Yeah.
Louis Dufresne's methods spread to England in the early 19th century. They were updated, and non-toxic methods of preservation were developed by some of the leading naturalists of the day. However, the art of taxidermy remained relatively undeveloped, and the specimens that were created remained stiff and unconvincing.
By the 19th century, almost every town in England had a tannery business. Hunters began bringing their trophies to upholstery shops, where the upholsterers would actually sew up the animal skins and stuff them with rags and cotton. The term stuffing, or a stuffed animal, evolved from this crude form of taxidermy. Professional taxidermists prefer the term mounting to stuffing. More sophisticated cotton-wrapped wire bodies supporting sewn-on, cured skins soon followed.
See, that to me makes a lot of sense because at the time, like, you didn't even have cameras. Like, if you wanted to show someone, like, a prized kill or a new species you found, or just, like, I don't know, be proud of your hunting prowess or whatever, like, this was the only way to share, right?
Yeah.
It takes on a different light today.
Yeah, exactly.
The golden age of taxidermy was during the Victorian era, when mounted animals became a popular part of interior design and decor. English ornithologist? Is that?
That's birds.
Birds, yeah. English ornithologist John Hancock is considered to be the father of modern taxidermy. An avid collector of birds, which he would shoot himself, he began modeling them with clay and casting in plaster. For the Great Exhibition of 1851 in London, he mounted a series of stuffed birds as an exhibit. They generated interest among the public and scientists alike, who considered them superior to the earlier models and were regarded as the first lifelike and artistic specimens on display.
Hancock's display sparked great national interest in taxidermy, and amateur and professional collections for public view proliferated quickly. Displays of birds were particularly common in middle-class Victorian homes. Even Queen Victoria amassed an impressive bird collection. Taxidermists were also increasingly used by bereaved owners of dead pets to quote-unquote resurrect them.
That's cool. Man, what a privilege. Even today,
Yeah.
but at the time, to be able to like collect all those rare species like that, what a showing of wealth and power, right?
Right. Especially in that time when it was like it's like the world had been, explored at that point, but like to be able to bring it back home with you and keep it on display kind of thing. That was huge.
Especially from like wild and exotic foreign countries.
Yeah.
To bring back animals people have never seen.
Yeah.
But speaking of the idea of resurrecting the dead pets, so I just watched like a little video, it might have been Vice that recently came out on the idea of digital resurrections and graveyards. So this is kind of unrelated, but the video was about what happens to our data after we die, like the rights of your digital data after you or a loved one passes. Like Twitter and Facebook ran into this problem where they have something like 130 million dead user profiles, and they wanted to clear up all this space and like save money on these costs. And then there was like a pushback from people because their, dead loved ones' pages would be gone and they wouldn't get that like yearly birthday reminder, get to like visit their page kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it turned into this idea, like there's a couple companies that do it now where they do like, the idea is kind of like those old websites where you would pay your respects on someone who's passed, but it would be like custom websites or gravestones that have like all of a person's digital like profiles or like their story in one digital like place. Like you could go to the digital graveyard and experience that person. And there was also a coder, and there's a couple other people working on it doing AI systems of a dead person. So like you could take all your text, email, Facebook statuses of a loved one who's passed and like pay to have it analyzed by AI and be given an AI program of your loved one to talk to.
Yeah.
And then they were asking questions on like how that would affect the healing and coping process, and like if it would be like how it would affect how you grieve if you would have the chance to speak to a fake version of your dead loved one at any time. Yeah,
I can see that being problematic.
Yeah, in weird ways.
Very easily see that being an issue. So after my grandpa died, his Facebook page became a, like we got in and we set it up, that it was like became like a memorial in memorial to kind of thing. And it was helpful to have that there because there would be like holidays or whatever that would go by, and it was therapeutic to leave a thing there and like, hey, just thinking about you kind of thing. But I also did that a lot in my own head of talking to him, and like it would be like literally talking out loud as if he were there. That I did a lot of, and I feel like that helped me grieve, because despite not getting responses, I feel like it helped me a lot because it put me in the, I don't know, I guess it put me in the mindset of like getting the things off of my chest that I wanted to. It's like I didn't need a response. I just needed to feel like I was being heard, or not, I don't know. But having that response, I feel like that's different. Having a digital version of, even if the digital version of them there, I can feel like that would slow progress.
I feel like the digital space itself.
Yeah, having a space there is fine. Having a thing where you feel
AI
like an AI, yeah, that's weird.
Or like it would have to have like limited time caps. Like maybe on that first week of someone's dead, I could see how like having limited time access to a fake version of them could help like the coping process of someone who's really struggling, or like once a year, like after that. But like it's almost like a benzo, a digital benzo. Like sometimes something short acting can help a like psychotic period, but long term it would make it so much worse because you would like need this fake like substitute.
Yeah,
it's interesting though. I definitely with someone I love very much, that for me, I think one of the cruelest things you can do is not give someone a gravestone or place to visit, even if they're thrown in the furnace.
Yeah.
What the fuck's it called?
Cremated?
Yeah. I feel like you still should have a place to go visit someone.
For me, my grandparents are both cremated, and the thing... I don't think we got them a placeholder thing, but I did get one of those, like a necklace that has the ashes in it. And for me, like that's that. Like, plus I also have like some of his old rings and like some of his like old clothing and stuff that fit me as well, and like stuff like that works for me.
Yeah, you get to bring that place with you.
Yeah.
It's just hard. I think, especially like out of financial reasons, I think more and more, like particularly young people, like so many people lost parents or whatever. We have so many fucking orphans from the last couple years of COVID. Like having no physical, like nothing and no place to go to remember a loved one is something like particularly cruel.
Yeah, it's so fucking expensive.
Yeah, it's to me that is a garbage business that has no value in the public sector. Like that is something we should do for each other, not create for-profit business.
Yeah. Even recently a friend of mine's their cat died. And they were looking at cremation options, and there was like almost $500.
Fuck that.
To get the cat cremated. And I was like, well, the idea is that like they do them all individually, and it's like it's not going to be your cat mixed with a bunch of other cats or whatever. And it's like, but still, like $500, like that's a lot of money.
I would never pay that. Oh my God, I'd be so furious. Like I'll bury every cat by myself in the rain in the backyard. That's I'll spend that time.
They were talking about like they had and one of the options was like a pet cemetery kind of thing, and it was
it's creepy as shit.
It is, but it's like you said, it's giving them a place.
Yeah,
where they can be buried, and like we've always, our cats were always buried in the backyard kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like that's more.
Personal.
You get the ceremony of it.
Yeah.
And it's more of a personal, easier, it's a way to let go kind of thing.
Definitely. Even my last betta fish that died, we made a little coffin out of a tissue box. It said,
nice.
Here rest Shanky, the dumbest betta fish. Okay, so moving into the 20th century of taxidermy. So in the 20th century, taxidermy developed anatomically accurate figures which incorporated every detail in artistically interesting poses, with mounts in realistic settings and poses that were considered more appropriate for the species. So they're getting more accurate, definitely more realistic. This is quite a change from the caricatures popularly offered as hunting trophies. So this is like more on the like science museum level.
Yeah, this is most of the taxidermy that you're going to see in a respected setting nowadays are going to be like you said, like really interesting poses, or like where they have like the birds would have like their wings spread, and it was more realistic to what they would look like in the wild. Additional modern uses of taxidermy have been the use of faux taxidermy, or fake animal heads that draw on the inspiration of traditional taxidermy. Decorating with sculpted fake animal heads that are painted in different colors has become a popular trend in interior design.
That's is that good?
No, I think that's fine. Like I think it skips around. Like you can find like a fake stylized animal head at or like a deer head at Target or whatever, and it's not like got the fur and looks like a deer head. It's painted and colorized. Even like my cousin and his wife, they have one. It's a small one that they use it it's a coat rack. That hangs on the wall, and it's small. It's not a life size or whatever. It's just a small deer head, and the antlers stick out like a coat rack.
Have you ever
just style?
Yeah, we'll get into it in a bit, but we're going to talk about some of the weird like artsy hipstery stuff that happens now. Some of it's gotten to a different level. Have you ever walked into like a full-on trophy room of somebody's like kills, like a hunter's kills?
I have not, no.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, I can't imagine that feels good.
It just feels like gross. I don't know, especially when like you're just hunting for fun or like as a rich sport. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not with it.
No. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so the different methods. Let's talk about the traditional skin mount. Tell me about that.
Okay. So the methods taxidermists practice have improved over the last century, highlighting taxidermic quality and lowering toxicity, which became like a real problem in the old days, right? Like taxidermists and sometimes people that put these in their houses like could get poisoned over time, or some of the taxidermists did die early from their work. But the animal is first skinned in a process similar to removing the skin from a chicken prior to cooking. This can be accomplished without opening the body cavity. So with this method, a taxidermist usually does not need to see the internal organs or blood, which is not something I realized at all. That's wild.
Depending on the type of skin, preserving chemicals are applied or the skin is tanned. It's then either mounted on a mannequin made from wood, wool and wire, or polyurethane foam. Clay is used to install glass eyes and can also be used for facial features like cheekbones and a prominent brow bone. Modeling clay can be used to reform features as well. If the appendage was torn or damaged, clay can hold it together and add muscle detail. Forms and eyes are commercially available from a number of suppliers. If not, taxidermists carve or cast their own forms.
See, that sounds like mortuary science kind of work to me.
Yeah.
It's always wild, like when there's a violent death with like a facial trauma or something, and they have to like rebuild the face with clay and like repack.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wild. Yeah,
it seems absurd. I mean, I get the
amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing the shit that they can do, but it's still like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the open casket thing, anyways. I'm not a fan of the burial thing at all, but the open casket thing in particular, I've never been a fan of. The result is never the memory that I want of the person in my head.
I've always been like so impressed by it, but I feel like while it offers closure, I also feel like we weren't supposed to see them. Like we're seeing like into a window we're not supposed to.
Yeah. No matter how good of a job that they do, it never looks like the person anymore. At least I've never had that experience where it just looked like the person was there.
Yeah, I feel like you're almost being like a peeping Tom on death.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to see this.
No peeping.
So taxidermists seek to continually maintain their skills to ensure attractive, lifelike results. Mounting an animal has long been considered an art form, often involving months of work. Not all modern taxidermists trap or hunt for their prize specimens today. I would imagine very few do that. Like,
Yeah.
at least not that often. I think today it seems like the modern taxidermist is mostly commercial work done for other people, like hunters or pet owners or collectors of the curious.
Yeah. We did watch a documentary where they talked about this woman would find like roadkill, or her fascination with it started with like birds that were dead on the sidewalk in front of, the shop that she worked in.
Yeah.
And like she would pick them up and she read up on the subject, and then she would like practice with those. And I find it wild to think like, okay, so I'm not like a hunter anyways. Like I don't, like the idea of killing an animal for sport seems wild to me because it's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
In modern times, it's just not a thing of necessity.
It's like, it's such a little bitch move.
Especially the big game hunts, like there are so many testimonies of that where it's like it's not really a hunt. Like they set you up in a place where like they basically corral, some animals into this area and they bring you to it. And then,
It's almost exclusively that. There's very few like Teddy Roosevelt hunts where you're like at risk of being hurt. It's almost always just a pay to kill.
Yeah, and he was big into taxidermy too, which I think for his time, in the way that he lived, it was very different. I've always had a fascination with him as a person. I'm sure there are plenty of shitty things that can be said about him as well.
Definitely.
But there are a lot of
endearing qualities.
Things that are like, oh wow, like this is a really interesting person. Like this is a really interesting human. But yeah, like his hunting and his like, will of adventure always struck me as like, okay, this person's actually might be kind of cool.
Used to piss on the White House lawn.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's
pretty dope.
There's been a couple of presidents who have done that, actually. It's funny.
I'd do it.
Fuck yeah.
So taxidermy. Animal specimens can be frozen, then thawed at a later date to be skinned and tanned. Numerous measurements are taken of the body. A traditional method that remains popular today involves retaining the original skull and leg bones of a specimen and using these as the basis to create a mannequin made primarily from wood wool. Previously, tow or hemp wool was used, and galvanized wire.
Real quick, I will point out, I would say anytime you're taking measurements of a skull, you're typically not doing good stuff. Just as a general rule, that's probably something that maybe you don't need to be doing.
Yeah.
Another method.
You're tampering with the machinations of God.
God would be so disappointed. Another method is to mold the carcass in plaster and then make a copy of the animal. Copy paste, Control-C, Control-V.
Right.
Make a copy of the animal using one of several methods. I wasn't familiar with the plastic molding and duplicates. I thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So a final mold is then made of a polyester resin and glass cloth from which the polyurethane form is made for final production. The carcass is then removed and the mold is used to produce a cast of the animal called a form. Forms can also be made by sculpting the animal first in clay.
Many companies produce stock forms in various sizes. Glass eyes are then usually added to the display and in some cases Artificial teeth, jaws, tongue, and for some birds, artificial beaks and legs can be used.
That's like the Always Sunny, the teeth.
the bird teeth.
But I have seen stuff where, like, I know they pay a particular attention or detailing is often put into the exact right shine of the eye to make sure that, like, it's perfectly lifelike.
Yeah, I can see where that, like you're not just painting on a wooden bead or something. Like it's got to have depth and have, the real kind of a glow.
Yeah.
Of a wet, squishy thing in there. Yeah.
I remember this is a bit ago, but there was this artist that worked in taxidermy, but his whole thing was like he was the eye specialist. So like he would get the nearly finished taxidermy or whatever, and his whole goal was to make the eye look perfectly lifelike. So they have the prosthetic inserted eye or whatever, and then he's like spending hours like just barely putting like a speck of white paint or like layers of clear glazes on it just to make it perfectly in the right shine. And it's
right.
like that is a very intimate and weird experience, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So what about this one? I did not know about this one either.
Yeah, I think this method is probably the one that I didn't realize either. I think it's actually a really cool idea considering the possibilities of it. The freeze dried mount. An increasingly popular trend is to freeze dry the animal. For all intents and purposes, a freeze dried mount is a mummified animal. The internal organs are removed during preparation. However, all the other tissue remains in the body. The skeleton and all accompanying musculature is still beneath the surface of the skin. The animal is positioned into the desired pose, then placed into the chamber of a special freeze-drying machine designed specifically for this application.
Damn. That's like some straight JFK Walt Disney shit. Like, freeze the brain in a cryo tube forever in hopes you can reanimate your pet kind of shit. Yeah. Like, it's fucked. It's cool, like, because you're really preserving, like, the corpse of something in its entirety as it was. But it still seems, I don't know, very, even, like, more grotesque in a way.
It's definitely, I think the use of technology, I feel like it's less grotesque in the way that it's tampering with the body less.
Yeah. But in a more unnatural way?
In a very much more unnatural way, yes. It's very, very more technologically advanced way. But I feel like that makes it, like I said, it's like less tampering with the body. It's,
right. You don't have to gut me. You can just freeze dry me at least.
Yeah. Well, they still have to gut you. They just don't have to remove all of your skin. And
I think they let them off super easy, but some dudes took their buddy to like a Vegas casino or some shit. You know what I mean? There's always something. But
that's wild.
That's so funny. Weekend at Bernie's style them to the casino. So the machine freezes the animal and also creates a vacuum in the chamber. Pressure in the chamber helps vaporize moisture in the animal's body, allowing it to dry out. The rate of drying depends on the vapor pressure. The higher the pressure, the faster the specimen dries. Vapor pressure is determined by temperature of the chamber. The higher the temperature, the higher the vapor pressure is at a given vacuum. So vacuum and heat. Get rid of moisture, basically.
The length of dry time is important because the rapid freezing creates less tissue distortion, like the shrinking, the warping, and the wrinkling. So this process can be done with reptiles, birds, and small mammals such as cats, rodents, and some dogs. Freeze drying is the most popular type of pet preservation. This is because it is the least invasive in terms of what is done to the animal's body after death, which is a concern of most owners. And still, most owners do not opt for the traditional skin mount if they're going to have this done. They're at least going to go with the freeze-dried one.
I feel like any form of doing that with a pet is psychotic as fuck.
Yeah, I think it's pretty wild. I feel like I can understand the reasoning of it.
Yeah, agreed.
But I'm not going to do it.
No.
I would feel like it would just be that much more heart-wrenching.
Now, what would you think of cloning? Because there are people doing that with some animal breeds now, I believe.
I mean, I'm sure it's cool, but it's not the same animal.
No.
And it's, you might as well. There are so many other animals that need homes that, I don't know, I feel like it's selfish.
I feel like that's a bad argument, honestly. Just because, like, those people probably picked that animal out to begin with. Like, I agree with you, but anyone not adopting a pet then would be equally as weird as cloning.
I mean, yeah, that's fair too, and I stand by that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool because it's a perfect nature versus nurture question, but you at least do know you're getting an animal that's from a very similar compatible genetic profile. And I could see that being soothing even though it's a different animal itself. I think it's weird if you name it the same name.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't know. I feel like the whole thing with pets for me is like they have their own personality.
Yeah.
It's like they have their own thing. It's not the same animal. It's a different animal. It's a new friend. It's a new, a member to your party kind of thing. And I like the difference of that. I think that's supposed to help you grow rather than, I mean, even to your, what you were saying, like people that are picking out animals for their specific breed or whatever, like the dog people that get like the purebred things. Like, I don't know. I think that's so fucking weird.
I agree.
I think that's so fucking stupid. Like, you're going to spend all this money on this inbred ass dog. And then, like, meanwhile, there's all of these other animals that you could have for basically free that need homes. That would be perfectly great pets.
I 100% agree. And any pet I've had has been like a found creature.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do kind of understand the picking your partner on aesthetics. Even like personal relationships to picking the cat you wanted out of that litter. Like, there still is an element of us that we can't help but pick the one we're most attracted to.
Yeah. I can see that. I don't know. I feel like we learned with my mom's cat, like it was a bright orange cat, and she was definitely not envisioning, like we had talked about her getting a cat, and she was thinking about different ones. Like we'd seen some at like the pet store or whatever, not the pet store, but like basically the pet store. It was like at PetSmart or whatever, and she was looking at them, and she was thinking about like what kind of cat she would want, and then my friend that I got my cat from said their mom's cat just gotten pregnant, and it was this bright. The litter was all these little orange boys,
little Cheeto babies.
Yeah, and it wasn't what she had in mind, but it's it was a free cat, and he needed a home anyways, so it was like, all right, cool.
And you learn to love them all the same.
Oh my God, she's obsessed with this cat. Like she loves, she couldn't, you couldn't, take this cat away from her. Even if you were like, well, let me trade you for this prettier one that you like the aesthetic of more. It's like, no, he's got his little white boots, and he's got a little thing around his neck, a little white thing that makes it look like he's got a little bow tie on. She you come to love it, and it's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I love the difference in it.
Definitely. And it's a weird like lesson in it, acceptance or taking someone as they are,
Yeah.
I do think like in the Victorian era, it was the collections of exotic birds, right?
Yeah, that was the biggest thing.
I think in the future, it's going to be like your way to show off power influence will be your clone collections.
Your clone collections, all your dead homies you got chilling in cryovacs in your.
Or even like, instead of collecting video games or cards or whatever, you're like, I have every edition of dogs that have ever been put out. Like, check out, I have every version of Mastiff breeds from 18 whatever. You know what I mean?
NFTs, never heard of them.
Just got dogs of every.
I own Shih Tzu.
Right. Holy shit, that'd be cool. So, in cases of large pets, such as dogs or cats, freeze drying is also the best way to capture the animal's expression as it looked in life, another important concern of many owners. Freeze drying equipment is costly and requires much upkeep. The process is also time consuming. Therefore, freeze drying is generally very expensive and just a costly way to preserve an animal. The drawback to this method is that all freeze dried mounts are extremely susceptible to insect damage. Which is gross.
So this is because they contain large areas of dried tissue, the meat and the fat for insects to feed upon. Traditional mounts are far less susceptible because they contain virtually no residual tissues, or none, sometimes even none at all.
Yeah.
Regardless of how well a taxidermy mount is prepared, all taxidermy is susceptible to insect damage. Taxidermy mounts are targeted by the same beetles and fabric moths that destroy wool sweaters and fur coats that infest grains and flour in the pantries.
That's gross.
Yep.
Imagine, your favorite pet is full of bugs now. That's
terrifying.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah, very gross. So, reproduction mounts. So, some methods of creating a trophy mount do not involve preserving the actual body of the animal. This is like the more ethical approach, or one of the more ethical approaches. Instead, detailed photos and measurements are taken of the animal so a taxidermist can create an exact replica in resin or fiberglass that can be displayed in place of the real animal. No animals are killed in the creation of this type of trophy mount.
One situation where this is practiced is in the world of sport fishing, where catch and release is becoming increasingly prevalent. Reproduction mounts are commonly created for trout, bass, and large saltwater species such as swordfish and the blue marlin. One of the things I saw in one of the documents we were looking at was like a 1,700-pound marlin, when reproduced this way, would only weigh like 75 pounds.
Oh, really?
So it makes it way easier to deal with and to handle and own.
Yeah. Holy shit. I always thought the fish often looked too wet, though. Is that just me?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something weird about that.
Shiny.
Yeah,
they don't look. They look like wet plastic, opposed to like the real texture of a fish slime.
Yeah, the fish slime. Dude,
I couldn't believe how fucking big and heavy tuna get.
Oh yeah, there's some big motherfuckers.
God, the sushi documentary we did, where they were shining the light through the slices of tuna.
Yeah,
I just did not realize, those are thin slices, but that's a lot of sushi for one big ass
motherfuckers
tuna.
were massive.
Whew. Another situation where reproduction trophies are created is when endangered species are involved. Endangered and protected species, such as rhinoceroses, are hunted with rifles loaded with tranquilizer darts rather than real bullets.
While the animal is unconscious, the hunter poses for photos with the animal while it's measured for the purpose of creating a replica, or to establish what size of prefabricated fiberglass trophy head can be purchased to most closely approximate the actual animal. The darted animal is not harmed, so they say. Then the hunter then displays the fiberglass head on the wall in lieu of the real animal's head to commemorate the experience of the hunt, which we've already discussed. The hunt wasn't really a hunt.
Right.
It was, they drove out there and they set him up with an animal and a trank gun.
murdered an animal. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's so dumb. Like, you know, like they say like the animal wasn't harmed, but it's like you still came over. Like, can you imagine like if you were like just going to work one day and you got tranked and you wake up later on?
I've done it many a time.
Okay.
Just driving to work, all of a sudden I stick myself with something I forgot. I'm out. I'm back up. Like, holy shit.
It's so off-putting to me. It's like you're walking up into their area. Like, leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Like they said, they've already got.
I mean, it's definitely the way more ethical route.
It is way more ethical, but the better way would be like, don't go fuck with this rhino. If you want a rhino head on your fucking wall, you know, go take your ass to the fucking zoo. Go look at the rhino and enjoy that view, and then go to, or you even go out in the wild and maybe, you know, pay some local people to show you some animals or something. I don't know. And then get home and then buy the fiberglass mount anyways, instead of having to shoot it with a fucking trank gun to prove that you're a man.
Honestly, I still think the fiberglass, I think these mounts are probably lame as fuck, though.
A lot of them looked really cool.
But
a lot of them looked really well done.
How cool could it be? You still know it's fake.
I mean, okay, would you rather have a fake one on your wall or a real one?
No, I say if you are questioning the morals involved enough to get a fake one, then you shouldn't just have any one. Like,
well, agreed.
Yeah, but
what I'm saying is, if you feel like that you need that, this is what makes you feel like a man.
Get the real one then. Kill the fucking animal. Like, if you're gonna get a fake one, like, that just seems so fucking like lame, right?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think for. I mean, it goes back to like the decor thing. If it's like something like you want to have, you know, animal shit, but like I wouldn't want to ever, like, I wouldn't have one anyways. I'm not, you know, supporting. I think it's stupid. I don't know. I think it looks dumb. I can see in certain design things where it makes sense to have, you know, if, you know, this appearance of a, you know, a hunt room or whatever. But if you're going to do it, like, we have the technology now, you don't need to go out and murk animals for it.
I just think the fakes are lame. I don't know. Something I've always really liked is the poachers of poachers for ivory stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The groups that go together hunting the poachers. That shit's dope as fuck. And
that's dope.
It's crazy though. They had the practice of they tried to poach, quote unquote, poach all the animals with ivory to saw off their horns, like trank them, saw off the ivory, because it bothers the animal, but it doesn't hurt them long term. It grows back, and that way the poachers can't get it, and they're not as likely to kill them because there's no ivory to gain. So there's like government, military stuff, or nonprofit groups that go around sawing off the horns and tusks of all the ivory animals, which is really, it's an interesting problem.
Yeah. It's like, does it suck? Yeah. Does it keep that species alive? I guess so.
Yeah. The problem is it also has the like unintended side effect of then the poachers can be influenced to kill the animals anyway, so that they stop doing it.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, when do you let evil win kind of question.
Right.
Yeah.
So the next one is the recreation mounts.
So recreation mounts are accurate life-size representations of either living or extinct species that are created using materials not found on that animal being rendered. So they'll utilize the fur, feathers, and skin of other species of animal to create that piece of taxidermy. So according to the National Taxidermy Association, recreations are defined as renderings which include no natural parts of the particular animal being portrayed.
Recreation may include original carvings and sculptures. Recreation may use natural parts, provided the parts are not from the species being portrayed. For existence, a recreation eagle could be constructed using turkey feathers, or a cowhide could be used to simulate African game. A famous example of recreation mount is a giant panda created by taxidermist Ken Walker that he constructed out of dyed and bleached black bear fur.
I guess I understand that, but you're still like justifying killing less rare animals for more rare animals, right?
Yeah, and I think
it's interesting.
Again, I think some of these cases, like, did they hunt down that black bear to make this panda? Maybe. Was it a situation where, it's, parks and, the Wildlife Protection Services found, this animal that had died of natural causes or whatever, and they're like, well, what the fuck do we do with it? And like, hey, we can donate this to science and create something with it. Maybe, hopefully, that's a cool thought.
Yeah.
I'd like to live in a world of hope where that happens sometimes, and it's not all just they're killing a bear to make a panda.
Speaking of which, have you ever heard the term panda diplomacy?
I want to say I have heard it, but I don't know what it means.
So it's really just the practice that China does, where they gift like rare, special giant pandas to other countries as a tool for diplomacy. And it's like their sign of like friendship and bonding with said country. Like it's like one of their more ultimate signs of respect.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true, so don't take it as truth, but I believe China recently gave Putin a special giant panda.
Well,
and there were all these like, politics tea leaf readers saying this was like signs of war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting though. They've given, I believe 24 pandas to 9 different nations over the years.
Kind of wild.
Cool. Yeah.
So the next one is the study skins. This is interesting.
Yeah, a study skin is a taxidermic zoological specimen prepared in a minimalistic fashion that is concerned only with preserving the animal's skin, not the shape of the animal's body. As the name implies, study skins are used for scientific study and research, and are housed mainly by museums. A study skin's sole purpose is to preserve data, not to replicate an animal in a lifelike state.
Museums keep large collections of study skins in order to conduct comparisons of physical characteristics to other study skins of the same species. Study skins are also kept because DNA can be extracted from them when needed at any point in time.
That's cool. Imagine going through the binder racks of all the study skins.
Yeah.
That would be cool. A study skin's preparation is extremely basic. After the animal is skinned, fat is methodically scraped off the underside of the hide. The underside of the hide is then rubbed with borax or cedar dust to help it dry faster. The animal is then stuffed with cotton and sewn up. Animals are laid flat on their belly. Birds are prepared lying on their back. Study skins are dried in these positions to keep the end product as slender and streamlined as possible so large numbers of specimens can be stored side by side in flat drawers while occupying a minimum amount of space. Interesting.
Make little animal pillows.
Yeah, I bet they'd be all squished. I picture them just as the skins, and I guess it's really like a squished pillow of the animal.
Yeah. The last one is probably the most modern process. It's called plastination. Okay. And if you're familiar at all with the bodies exhibit that went around, started going around about, it was like 10, 12 years ago they started doing that. They have like these, it's literally human bodies that have been preserved, cut apart in some fashions and to preserve the muscle tissue to show the entire inside of the human body.
Or they'll do like just the bone systems, or I always like the nerves.
The nerves ones. That's wild. That's one of the most terrifying looking things about the human body is the nerve system.
Oh my God.
So 4 steps are used in the standard process of plastination. There's fixation, dehydration, forced impregnation in a vacuum, and hardening. Water and lipid tissues are replaced by curable polymers, which include silicone, epoxy, and polyester copolymer.
The first step of plastination, fixation, frequently uses a formaldehyde-based solution and serves 2 functions. Dissecting the specimen to show specific anatomical elements can be time-consuming. Formaldehyde or other preserving solutions help prevent decomposition of the tissues. They might also confer a degree of rigidity, which you want at least some degree of. So this can be beneficial in maintaining the shape or arrangement of a specimen. A stomach might be inflated or a leg bent at the knee, for example.
After any necessary dissections have taken place, the specimen is placed in a bath of acetone at -20 to -30 Celsius. The volume of the bath should be 10 times that of the specimen. The acetone is renewed 2 times over the course of 6 weeks. The acetone draws out all the water and replaces it inside the cells.
God, I just would like to take a second and reflect on just how wonderful acetone is. What a wonderful chemical. You can do so many great things with it, and it smells so lovely.
It smells great. You can clean up glues and adhesives as well as nail polish.
Yes.
And preserve bodies.
It's almost as nice as gasoline. You know, the poor...
Actually, I think I like acetone more than I like the smell of gasoline.
I must admit, I love huffing gas the most. It's a dirty high, but man, it feels good.
I've never huffed gas.
You've never huffed gas?
I've never huffed gas.
Oh my God.
I've caught a good whiff of it at the gas station before. You do the...
Next time you're in town, my treat. I look forward to sharing the experience.
Hey man, that's expensive nowadays at these prices.
With Biden driving up the gas prices, we can't huff gas anymore.
I might as well just get heroin. Fuck it.
Fentanyl's getting pretty cheap.
God damn.
Poor man's napalm. You just melt styrofoam into a plastic container of gasoline, and it turns into a nice little putty that goes right up.
Yeah, we used to talk about making sticky grenades out of that.
Yeah, oh, good times. So in the third step, the specimen is then placed into a bath of liquid polymer, such as silicone rubber, polyester, or epoxy resin. By creating a vacuum, the acetone is made to boil at a low temperature. Ooh, that sounds sinister. As the acetone vaporizes and leaves the cells, it draws the liquid polymer in behind it, leaving a cell filled with liquid plastic. Damn. That's fucking metal as fuck.
Yeah, I think I saw that the freezing point of acetone was like -70 Celsius.
Drink it all year round.
I was like, well, fuck, I could clean off my windshield with that.
Yeah.
That's more uses for acetone. So the plastic must then be cured with gas, heat, or ultraviolet light to harden it. A specimen can vary from a full human body to a small piece of animal organ, and they are known as plastinates. Once plastinated, the specimens and bodies are further manipulated and positioned prior to curing of the polymer chains.
That's wild, because you're almost like resetting the specimen before like synthetic rigor mortis sets in.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. You're like making a real organic creature into an action figure in front of you. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, man, make a full homie action figure. I'm down. I mean, plastinate the shit out of me when I'm done. I'm cool with it. I've multiple times considered donating my body to science.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what the fuck they would use it for. Or to art. I don't know.
Probably some med
I'm dead.
student.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, cutting you open. That'd be fun. We do have a problem with.
I'll teach you anatomy,
just like my father, like Sokolsky. Sokolsky, what a maniac! That Dude, I loved researching that episode. What a cool
dude. If you haven't listened to that episode, you should go listen to that. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also thought it worth noting that despite the obvious dangers, that some modern taxidermists still confess to using arsenic on extra special projects because other chemicals don't quite have that same magically lifelike result. And I thought that was pretty interesting. They did not seem concerned about the toxicity in like low amounts on special projects, but I don't know if it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, one of the guys was talking about the various birds and stuff that he had, the Victorian birds, and they're all under glass, but they all were done with arsenic. And the guy was like, wouldn't you be concerned about having all this arsenic, like vapors in your home, and like people you can still get sick from it that way? And he was like, no, they're all under glass, but even still, we bring so much formaldehyde in on different various products that you buy. Like a lot of clothing, I know, like they spray it with formaldehyde to keep bugs and shit off of it.
Yeah.
During transport and whatever.
It's actually been a problem in like the last 10 years with like children's clothing made in foreign countries, like infants that may be especially sensitive to those chemicals, and it's
I can see
not
that.
listed because it's just some sweatshop halfway across the world, and they get these clothes and then the baby gets sick.
You got to wash everything before you wear it.
Yeah, it's a weird, definitely a weird problem. Also, I think there is like a bit of a misconception about the strength of arsenic. I mean, it is a very potent poison, but like you can make it from apple seeds and shit. It takes a decent amount. Like even in like, especially during the 70s and 80s, where like arsenic was one of the best poisons to murder someone with, like before ricin and different shit like that. Like you typically have to ingest a decent amount of it. So like the fumes off a piece of taxidermy is probably not too dangerous. It's more like the lifetime of working with it.
Yeah.
So on to the artsy and weird shit of anthropomorphic taxidermy. I know you're excited about this.
Yeah, this is real wild shit.
Yeah, like what were you saying? That House of a Thousand Corpses, the mermaid boy or
fish boy.
So in the late 1800s, a style known as anthropomorphic taxidermy became popular. Mounted animals were dressed as people or displayed as if engaged in human activities.
So fucking weird. So it's the most British shit I've ever heard, first of all. The best known practitioner in this genre was the English taxidermist Walter Potter, whose most famous work was The Death and Burial of Cock Robin. Among his other scenes were a rat's den being raided by the local police rats, or the village school, which featured 48 little rabbits busy writing on tiny slates while the kitten's tea party displayed feline etiquette and a game of croquet. This is morbid.
If you have to kill 48 rabbits for your piece of art, I think you're doing a bad art.
Yeah, you're doing bad art. Apart from the simulations of human situations, he also had added examples of bizarrely deformed animals, such as two-headed lambs and four-legged chickens. Potter's museum was so popular that an extension was built on the platform at Bramber Railway Station.
Hey, are you familiar with the Cardiff Giant by any chance?
Once again, that sounds familiar, but I'm not. It's not ringing a bell.
So kind of during the same time, all these anthropomorphic taxidermy pieces, like the animals with multiple heads, Siamese, all that shit, like.
Oh yeah, I just looked it up. I know.
I think the first big one that was popularized was the mermaid one, and it was a monkey skeleton on a fish of some sort, and it was thought to be real by scientists for like a short amount of time. So like they were like drawing crowds at circuses and things by making these fake taxidermies. Even the jackalope is the most popular one probably. But things during the old circus days, such as like the Cardiff Giant, were like faked gigantic skeletons of giants. And like people would, this person, and there were many other giants that toured the world, they would like fake discover this previously planted skeletal structure of a giant. Like they happened to come across it in an archaeological dig, and it was basically a form of like art or taxidermy, and then they would try to like make money by touring circuses or science museums around the world.
Which is wild because the Cardiff giant in particular looks nothing like a preserved body in any way.
No. Actually, last podcast on the left did a series on it at some point. That was pretty good. Other Victorian taxidermists known for their iconic anthropomorphic taxidermy work are William Hart and his son Edward Hart. They gained recognition for their famous series of dioramas featuring boxing squirrels. I have seen these, actually. One 4-piece set of boxing squirrels diorama circa 1850 sold at auction in 2013 for record prices. The 4 dioramas were created as a set, with each diorama portraying the squirrels at different stages during the boxing match. However, the set was broken up and each was sold separately at the same auction. The set was one of a number that created over the years featuring boxing squirrels. So father and dad just creating dead boxing squirrels. Cool.
Just backyard killing squirrels. And
I'm sure it's very funny, but what a weird thing to do with your dad.
Yeah. It was 1850. They didn't have the internet then. They didn't have Netflix or YouTube. Famous examples of modern anthropomorphic taxidermy include the work of artist Adele Morse, who gained international attention with her Stoned Fox sculpture series, and the work of artist Serena Brewer, known for her Siamese twin squirrels and flying monkeys partaking in human activities.
So goofy. And this kind of overlaps with the concept of rogue taxidermy, which is sometimes referred to as taxidermy art. It is a form of mixed media sculpture. Rogue taxidermy art references traditional trophy or natural history museum taxidermy, but it is not always constructed out of taxidermied animals. It can also be constructed entirely from synthetic materials. So this is like the weird art shit with it, right?
Yeah. So additionally, rogue taxidermy is not necessarily figurative, as it can be abstract and does not need to resemble an animal. It can be a small decorative object or a large-scale room-sized installation. There's a very broad spectrum of styles within the genre, some of which also falls in the category of mainstream art.
Yeah, one of the videos we came across was this woman, I am blanking on her name, but she did animal taxidermy, but with human heads and faces. And
it was Kate. Ooh, Kate something.
It was a very creepy effect because like it would be like a deer with a human's head, which is something. There's a name for that particular creature because I believe it's from Japanese mythology. But like she would put different human faces and heads on animals, and it's a very disturbing outcome. Neither the term nor the genre emerged from the world of traditional taxidermy. The genre was born from forms of fine art that utilize some of the components found in the construction of traditional taxidermy mounts. The term rogue taxidermy was coined in 2004 by an artist collective called the Minnesota Association of Rogue Taxidermists. The Minneapolis-based group was founded by artists Serena Brewer, Scott Bibis, and Robert Marbury as means to unite their respective mediums and different styles of sculpture. The definition of rogue taxidermy set forth by the individuals who form the genre is, as quote, a genre of pop surrealist art characterized by mixed media sculpture containing conventional taxidermy-related materials that are used in an unconventional manner.
So the artist name we were trying to come up with earlier, the artist that does the taxidermy with the human faces, her name is Kate Clark. Yeah, the rogue taxidermy thing, I think the pop surrealist art is a very good term.
Yeah.
For what it is, for what a lot of it is.
Kind of hipster trash though, right?
I mean, it's very goth girl with a hobby.
Or what's the other word? Kitschy. right?
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It always feels so fakey looking to me. Even if it's cool, like it's one of those things that's great at a distance, but up close it just feels like trash put together to look like something. I don't like a lot of craft stuff, like especially with animal stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it can be really weird.
Like the idea of a jackalope, I love. What a beautiful concept. That would be so cool. But depicting a jackalope or like someone making a it just feels so lame.
Yeah. There are a lot of already cool animals that exist already.
Dude, fish are aliens. Aliens are on this earth. All we have to do is look.
Apart from describing a genre of fine art, the term rogue taxidermy has expanded in recent years and has also become an adjective applied to unorthodox forms of traditional taxidermy, such as anthropomorphic mounts and the composite mounts where two or more animals are spliced together, such as sideshow gaffs or conjoined freak animals and mounts of jackalopes or other fictional creatures. In addition to being the impetus for the art movement, the inception of the genre also marked a resurgence in interest in conventional forms of taxidermy. So this coming, taking taxidermy into our own hands and making new shit out of it, even if people were like, oh, that's cool, but I don't want that. That makes me just want, a head mounted on the wall kind of thing, which is, shitty. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm like understanding my thoughts and feelings more by the end of our base information. I just feel like if you're gonna do it, don't do it fake. Put a real corpse on your wall, right? Now, I think that's dumb. I think it's pretty gross, probably immoral. But if you're gonna do it, do the real McCoy. Put that corpse on your wall. But I think it is stupid. And I think the idea of like creating these sculptures basically out of a real animal, it's just like, I love dead shit. I'm definitely a goth kid. Definitely have had lots of skulls and stuff, but it's like, it's just kind of gross and lame. And like, I love the idea of making those things, but like make a painting or sculpture of it. I don't get, it's like having a favorite serial killer. Like,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It's like a morbid fascination. And I still might put an animal skull in my house, but it's like probably not a cool, great thing to do.
You didn't like go out and kill an animal for the skull. Like I have in my personal possession, I have a cat skull, but it was only because I was cleaning out my garage and in a pile of dirt that I was about to move, I found a collection of bones. One of which was a really well preserved skull that I later determined to be a cat skull.
Which is, it's cool, but it's like you acquired it naturally. And I've had random small collections of things where it's the same way. Like it crossed paths with my life and I like probably honored it or like showcased it in a selfish way, but it's still like, it's different than like going to purchase or acquire it for just to show off. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah. I've decided that in the spring, when the ground thaws, I'm going to move. I'm going to dig a little hole and move the remains into the hole. I've been thinking of trying to name the cat because I do want to make a little plaque for it of some type. I've decided to name it Spectre.
That's so much work. I would just
to bury the remains of it's in my garage. I have to get it out. It's a big pile of dirt and shit that is also bones of cat. I
would literally take a dustpan. I would dust them up and then I would place it near a soft pile of dirt or just.
I like the idea of, I don't believe in ghosts, but I like the idea of a ghost kitty.
Oh, it's a beautiful idea.
Wandering my grounds.
All right, I'll open this up a little more generally. Like, why the fuck do we respect corpses at all? It seems like a very antiquated concept. Like, when I die, I don't want someone to like purposely disrespect my corpse, but right. I also don't think there should be any demand to honor it.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think there is a romanticism to it.
Definitely.
Where, especially with people that you care about, or people or animals that you care about, I think there's the way that like you would never want to see them mistreated, or you want to give them, comfort, even if regardless of what you believe of, the afterlife or whatever, there is a thing where it's like, but I want to be sure. I want to be certain. I want to, there's a, like I said, I think it's more of a romantic side of it though, where you want to, I don't know, you still feel like you're doing the best thing by them.
It just feels like most of the people drawn to taxidermy, it's out of a curiosity, right? Like they love and respect these animals and they want to honor them, right?
Yeah.
And outside of hunters, which I think are lame as fuck, right? But the reality is like you're like almost finding a loophole in social like graces, because like the reality is if that animal's alive, you can't torture it, you can't fuck it, right? Like we want to respect the animals. Like you can't do evil shit to it. But you can kill it, skin it, stuff it, stitch it, put it in your house. Like you can do all these other levels of like degradation in a like selfish form of like showing off and honoring the corpse, where it just seems so delusional. Like but I'm drawn to it. Like I think it's like if I walked past a cat skeleton or a stuffed bear, I'm gonna be like, holy shit, that's cool as fuck. And then like 30 seconds later, I'm like, that's actually pretty fucked up. Like, why the fuck is that cool?
Yeah. Yeah. Having the display thing, having the collection of stuff is, I think, really weird and morbid. Like I said, I have the cat skull, and I realized later on, like I was doing the thing where it's like, I don't want to like dishonor this. And I was trying to keep it away from my cat. Like she would have any fucking idea what it was.
Sure.
And then it was like, okay, this is dumb. I think that it's the gothic kid side of me is like, this is cool to have, but like only because it was found, and because it was like it came with the house kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. The whole preservation of the body afterward it's weird because it's, I don't know.
It just seems like the ultimate form of respect would be to let the creature rest.
Yeah, absolutely. To doing the taxidermy shit, I think is weird, especially with like pets and loved ones and shit. It's like, just let it go. Let it go. Don't, I mean, especially for grieving, I feel like the holding on to it is detrimental.
Skip that cat skull right across a lake. See how many skips you can get with that lucky stone.
that lucky cat skull. It's like Frank Reynolds said, when I die, just throw me in the trash.
Roll me up and smoke me.
Yeah, roll me up and smoke me.
Do a line of my ashes. I don't know. I feel like it's the type of stuff like even 5-10 years ago, like I just wouldn't have given a fuck at all. And I feel like I can understand how I logically feel about it or what I think is like most ethical, but I still don't like really give a fuck. Like even if someone is like dishonoring the remains of the animal by stuffing it, it's like it's already dead. Like I don't get why anyone would pay for it, but I don't really care either. I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing. Like many of these modern taxiderms, like they're stuffing all these animals in their fridge, they're getting roadkill, they're getting hunters to pay them crypto money to
Right.
ship them a tiger. Like, what a weird way to like meet your like morbid curiosities. Like it's like a self-deception, I think.
Yeah. Had you know anybody that collects bones or skulls or anything like that?
Definitely. I mean, I borderline used to, but it was all stuff by coincidence. Sarah does, my girlfriend, a little bit. Most of it's natural too. Occasionally she'll buy some bones to like make something out of. So it's not like something I have like a hard stance against. I just don't fully get the people that are super into it.
Yeah. That make it a personality trait?
Yeah, and it's almost always a magnet for damaged people, and it's like a way to like have control and maybe heal themselves a bit. But it just I don't know. There's just
there are other arts and crafts.
yeah, and this is from someone who definitely like I used to spray paint roadkill like little hearts around them. To give them a grave because they didn't make it to the other side of the road. Like, I understand weird shit. I just think taxidermy specifically is pretty odd. And, like, both, like, considered very odd by a lot of people, but at the same time, very, like, socially acceptable, too, to, like, put a deer corpse on your wall.
Yeah, I think the home shit is wild. I think the use of taxidermy by museums and to preserve an image of an animal, I think that's fine. I think that's
agreed.
It's scientific in a way that like we didn't have this technology before, and that's why we have like the shitty representation of dinosaurs and shit that we do, you know, and like extinct animals that we do because there wasn't any record of it besides, you know, the bones and shit that we find, and then they try to piece it together and like this is what they look like, and then we're realizing later on that like, oh, you know, dinosaurs had feathers, you know, like these are birds, these are, you know, bird skeletons, and completely chickens. Yeah, these aren't just big giant lizards, there's other shit going on here, and then you have to like go back and rewrite the history books and shit. But if we have this already, that's like this is what these animals look like, you know? So in 100 years when there are no fucking rhinos left over, you know, we have that.
So I think that's part of the reason anything sciencey feels much more acceptable. Like if I disagree with the concept of zoos, let's say these animal prisons, but like I said earlier, we're not meant to see a cheetah in our shitty cities, right? So like, but if I have the option of sacrificing one cheetah to put in a museum that can be seen by millions, I feel like that's a fair trade-off for the amount of knowledge that like and benefit, sense of wonder you can instill in kids and people. I feel like that's a lot more fair than maybe like imprisoning one forever. Although if you're just imprisoning one, it's not as bad as maybe killing it. And it's a weird soul math.
Yeah. I feel I don't know. I feel like I don't want to be on the record of being like, "Oh, I'm pro zoo." But I definitely see the benefit of a well-established organization where they practice, you know, good quality care and like working with animals that are endangered and shit like that. Like the Cincinnati Zoo in particular is really good. They're world renowned for their breeding programs of like, it was the first Sumatran rhino born in captivity in like 500 years and shit like that. And like, I think there's a lot of good that could come of a zoo. In most cases, that's not happening.
Okay, I think you're right though. I think most of the time more good than bad probably does happen.
No, I don't think it's in most of the case more good than bad. I think most of the cases it's bad.
I don't think
But
that's
I think
true, though.
in a good, well organized and established zoo, that a lot of good can come of it.
See, I would even be willing to be generous enough that most zoos aren't doing that much bad shit, and they probably do more work for ultimate conservation than they do negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. Like, I don't think it's like that big of a deal or bad, but if you think about it in the sense like, if you wanted zoos to exist, would you be willing to personally round up and cage those animals?
No.
See, that's where just that simple question for me is like enough. Then I probably shouldn't like zoos. And the thing is, like, I probably think it's bad, but I'm still always going to go. It as like a business market, they kind of have the public by the balls, because it's like, this is literally the only chance in your life you get to see any of these animals. So how can you not like it or be willing to pay?
I can see that.
But I also do, like, if you told me tomorrow, hey, the city of Cincinnati or Detroit, we don't have a single tiger. My people will never see a tiger. I'm flying to the jungle and I'm caging one up, or I'm going to wherever the fuck and I'm going to stuff one and millions of people would see it. I'd be like, even if it's for the greater good and you're going to save more tigers, I'd be like, that's still kind of fucked up.
That's still pretty fucked up, yeah.
So it's like, I like zoos, but I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and often cases, a lot of zoos have like some of the animals that they have is like, to release them into captivity would be bad. Like, they would die.
Yeah, and they do breeding programs and put things in the. They do all kinds of good shit.
Yeah, and there was one instance of this. Like, I've seen this in a lot of zoos or a lot of like wildlife things. There is in Florida there is a like a wildlife protection park kind of thing, and you can tell a lot of what they did was trying to give these injured animals like a second chance at life kind of thing. But there was one of the exhibits in particular was like their eagles. And like these eagles were like injured in ways that they couldn't like fly. They, could barely take care of themselves kind of thing. And you could just see they weren't there anymore. It just seemed like they were just.
They have that at the Cincinnati Zoo too, of eagles with broken wings.
And it's like it's just so sad to see like their entire thing is like being this apex predator bird that's
in a cage.
Yeah, like they should be able to like soar for miles and miles, and that's their whole domain, and it's cut down to this tiny little. And at least in Cincinnati, like the exhibit they have for their eagles is tremendous. It's a very large.
But to your point, the crippled one is just like at a crossroads in the park with like a shitty little stream they can't limp across. Like they look derped out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're checked out.
It's
they're
so
derped out.
Brutal to look at.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess they're giving them, they're keeping them alive.
Well, it's the same.
But at what cost? Like, is it really living its life kind of thing?
Well, it's the same kind of argument going back to like our vegan episode, where like, if you're not willing to kill the animal yourself, you probably don't deserve to eat it. If you're not willing to enslave the animal, you probably don't deserve to pay a ticket to look at it. If you're not willing to like cut up the body and skin it, stuff it, and hang it on your wall yourself, you probably don't deserve to admire it. That's I think, and I can feel that way or think that is like a correct ethical stance or philosophy or whatever, and then I could be hypocritical of each one of those in my own way.
I feel like when you pay money to go to a good zoo, you are providing the resources for other people to do that in your place.
But you're also, it's the same thing with the ivory conundrum. You're also incentivizing they enslave more animals.
That's why I say good zoos. It's like, I mean,
good zoos will still capture more animals.
I mean, it's not like the Cincinnati Zoo is sending people out to like grab up animals and bring them back. They're usually, it's like they're transferred from other zoos, or they're, you know.
Well, they got to come from nature at some point. The more successful zoos, the more non-successful or ethical ones too.
That's probably true.
I'm being a little devil's advocate because I don't necessarily think zoos are bad. If I don't feel like I could put that animal in a cage, I don't know, even if it's for a good reason, I don't know if I should, even though I do, I don't know if I should be willing to pay to go look at it in the cage. Right?
I mean, I feel like that's a little extremist way of seeing it. Like I said, I feel like if, like, the reason that I'm not willing to do that with, you know, say, in a situation that would be for good. We'll use the Sumatran rhino example as one. It's like the species itself is going extinct. There's so few of them, and you know there's one from, you know, that's been, you know, passed around or whatever. I don't know how Cincinnati Zoo came about this one, but the idea is that like in a good maintained place with a good program, they can try to bring about a new one. They can try to, you know, give it the habitat that it needs and the stimulus it needs to potentially breed more. And that's by doing that, they're doing research to try to induce that again in the wild. So if maybe I don't have the wherewithal to go out and capture a fucking rhino, but if they are able to get their hands on one and, you know, care for it in a way that I could, then I support that.
But that's still just an appeal to scarcity because like, or rarity. Cause it's like, just because it's one of the last few, are you even if they can treat it better than you could, is that still better than taking it out of its home? Like that rhino could have lived its best life uninhibited by humans and died as the last one, but instead we decided to do XYZ to it that it didn't consent to in the hopes to break that scarcity.
True.
It's like if it was the last human of like one of those tribes like off in Brazil that had never spoke to the outside world before, and we're like, hey, our satellites show there's only 3 of them left, and if we don't intervene, this species, this tribe of humans will never, their lineage would never survive. So we're going to go in with the military, capture them, take their eggs, do some in vitro.
Take their eggs.
But that's what they're making these rhinos fuck each other. I know what
you mean, yeah.
I mean,
it's just the way you said it. like they're laying eggs, but I know what you meant.
Steal all the eggs, make some sunny side ups. But I mean, it's so much easier to justify it on an animal, especially when the animal is rare and we're doing it to save it. But those animals didn't ask to be saved. We're saving them because we want them to exist for us.
True.
Right? Like,
yeah.
That rhino is still living a shittier life than before we got involved in its natural cycle.
I mean, in a situation where they might have saved it from like a poacher or something.
But that's still us.
And that's the way they came upon it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. If that's the way they came upon it, then like we would be doing the better alternative. But we can't. You know, the poachers is still us as a collective.
It's a shitty, terrible world out there.
It sucks. I feel
humans are garbage.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm capable of arguing ethical standards that I could never live up to either. It's not like right now I might be the one that says I'm never going to support a zoo, but like 5 years ago or like a couple bad days, I could be the dude hunting a rare tiger just for the hell of it. Like I'm not that far from like the poacher or the poacher of poachers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all pretty close to being the opposite of what we think is right.
Hey, man, I'm down for hunting poachers.
Dude, fuck yeah, it'd be
The
awesome.
most dangerous game. Let's go do it.
But I also could see if we were from some poor tribe and we couldn't feed our family, and some more powerful people that could like butcher our whole village offers us guns and money and more food than we've ever had to take the tusk off some stupid animal that destroys our crops anyway. Be like, well, fuck it. I think I'm going to go kill elephants because I can live a better life and be okay instead of starving. Like most of the poachers are people. It's like the same thing with like like drug pirates or Somali, all that shit, the kidnappers, all that shit. Like most of those people are so fucking desperate. Like it sucks. It's sucky problems.
Yeah, I envision more when I think of poachers. I envision more of
like evil.
Yeah, like white, English and Americans that go over there for the sole purpose of like their a privileged conquest.
Yeah, but the reality is like they're almost all going to be like poor villagers with a gun, and they're being put on to work for a day's pay. That's more than they normally make.
Yeah, that's harder because it's, you got to do what you got to do to survive and take care of the people you love. I get it. That's not
right by any fucking means.
Yeah,
so
you can't blame someone for that.
It sucks. And that's most of the people that will get the poachers that killed in the act by military or get busted for it. They're never the people that are organizing these conquests or whatever. The stockpiles of ivory they find are millions and millions of dollars worth, and the militaries will often burn it all. There's these photos of $500 million worth of ivory burning that are just fucking wild.
Cool.
Just like the tiger wine stuff, like the people that sell tiger wine made in a vat with a tiger skeleton, like those are just like poor shop owners. Like it's so shitty. The people at the top are not the people that I don't know.
They're funding it, but they're not the ones doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: morality aside, so pick like 2 to 3 living creatures, not extinct, just living creatures now that you would combine to create your fantasy animal.
Ooh, that's a good one. I love hyenas. Hyenas are my spirit animal. I feel like maybe some sort of hyena and raccoon for the spots of a hyena on a raccoon, but slightly bigger with big fangs, or maybe a hyena and salamander, like something really weird.
Yeah.
Those giant, I think they're the red salamanders, the ones that live in the Japanese rivers that are like 6 feet long. Like something mixed with that would be so cool.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
Trying to think. You got any off the top of your head?
Yeah, I was thinking of a body of a polar bear, head of a rhino.
That sounds brutal. That would do some damage, huh?
Yeah. Ride that motherfucker in the battle.
Fuck yeah. What about a giraffe and a bat? That would be one gangly looking motherfucker.
Now here's the question. Is the giraffe body equal to the size of the bat wings, or are the bat wings equal to the size of... Because like a little tiny giraffe, that would be cool as fuck.
That would be cool as fuck. What if instead, though, let's make it very impractical. It's a regular giraffe, and the wings are of a normal bat, but it has like 10 pairs of bat wings going down its neck. Going down the neck. And they all flap like it's like...
it's more like a rain ritual. It doesn't actually do anything.
Well, if they all finally sync up, they can just get a little floating.
It helps in the neck muscles and raising and lowering the neck.
That's hilarious.
The other one I thought of was head of a clouded leopard and the body of a snake.
That sounds terrible. Like a leech, like a cat leech.
Yeah. Just creeps up on you, and instead of that viper bite, you get a whole big ass chunk taken out of you. And they still have the ability to, like, unhinge the jaw.
Oh, that would be weird.
And then here's the other question: is the snake body also furry, like a cat?
That would be awesome. That would be so cool.
A big cat worm.
It would be such a long cat belly to rub.
It's all belly.
Oh shit, that'd be so much fun. What else?
Or picture the cat head instead, like think like a hairless cat, but like the skin of like a salamander. Or something. Like the body and skin of like a salamander.
Dude, I hate monkeys, bro. I think anything mixed with a monkey would be so... What about a monkey and a cat?
Now, paint the picture for me.
Like a hairless cat and a monkey. So it would have like the buff monkey body with like with all skinless monkey body with one of those cat heads.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the old gods.
Dude, it really would be. Monkeys
that's
are
like Anubis
dude.
Or some shit.
You never trust a monkey.
Never trust a monkey. They're too much like people, and people can't be trusted.
Exactly, dude. They will look through your eyes into your soul and then bite your jugular.
Fucking cool. Shouts out to Harambe.
God, now I want to be.
Well, Harambe is an
Frankenstein
ape. He's not a monkey, but
either way, he's dead. I would love to Frankenstein me some animals. See, like, I can talk all this shit about don't go to a zoo, but if I had two animals in front of me and I could start splicing shit together, I'm Frankenstein pretty quick.
Let's take this one's legs and this one's legs and stick them together. Just making Silent Hill shit out of them.
God's feeling pretty creative today.
Yeah. Today, I'm clocking in as God. Fucking A. So I think that's a podcast. I think we can start wrapping up here.
Yeah, I think that was a good way to do it. So any final words on taxidermy? Cool but uncool.
Yeah, it mostly sucks shit. I get the art form of it, but it mostly sucks shit.
Yeah, bones are cool. Dead shit's cool, but dead shit's less cool if you put it on your walls, maybe.
Yeah.
Soft moral stances.
Soft moral stances.
My morals are flexible.
There are bigger problems, but it's still a shitty thing.
What about a kangaroo and a something cool that could go in its pouch? What's another animal that could come? Oh, like a frog with a long tongue, like the kangaroo pouch was their mouth, and it could spit the tongue like 20 feet
out of the pouch.
Yeah,
that's pretty
like
wild.
A big ass frog tongue, and it could like pull them around like a grappling hook in Halo. Like,
ooh, part Komodo dragon with kangaroo legs.
Oh, dude, the Komodo dragons are so cool.
They're so fucking dope.
All the bacteria in their saliva.
Yep. Fucking brutal.
Well, I think that's it, yeah?
Yeah. I know you had a quote here. Did you want to read this?
Oh, yeah. I think this was a good way to go out. So this is just a final stitch in the knot. This is a quote from taxidermist Karen Neems. She had a wonderful quote in reflection as to why she found her taxidermy work to be so meaningful. And she said, quote, I am continuously drawn to the broken, damaged, and often mangled forms of animals whose life has been cut short, often in violent ways. When I'm able to rescue these lifeless forms and create something new, it feels like a personal triumph. Each creature I touch is a little piece of my soul. You may see something morbid, disgusting, and broken. I see the potential and opportunity that hides beneath the battered bones. Working with blood, flesh, and bone is an intimate and organic process. In the hours I spend with each dead animal, a personal connection develops that borders on love. Every time it works, when something is preserved and made anew, my soul claims a victory. I heal myself with every scrape and stitch. And that is absolutely lovely. Poetic writing by her. I think it's a beautiful perspective to have. But I also feel it very important to remember that that animal is dead. It cannot love you back. And to use its corpse to heal is a little bit selfish.
Yeah.
But that's all cool.
Yeah.
Next week, existentialism.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yes, very excited.
So thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram for news and arts from the show. Also check out Facebook for the memes.
For the memes, if you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. I will hopefully have this stupid piece of shit art up soon. I've been stuck on it for like a week and a half, so hopefully get that soon. Shouts out to all of the taxidermists we have mentioned in this episode, and especially our honorable mentions, the artist Die Seven-Eyed, possibly Divide, on Instagram at DI7IDE. Also check out Plastic Cats, my homie. And then our second honorable mention of the episode was 30 Seconds of Starless on Instagram. Very beautiful stuff. Please check them out and support the artist homies.
Make sure you turn in next week for our episode on existentialism. That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.